Hello, James of WSI here, and this is the very first James Explains video where I hope in this video to explain to you the whole issues between CM Punk and various other people in AEW, so stay tuned. So the whole purpose of this video is to explain all these shoot interviews between CM Punk and Hangman Page and everybody else who he seems to have fallen afoul of, and where CM Punk's coming from and why he's saying all these things. And cracks first started appearing in AEW's facade that people jokingly called All Friends Wrestling for quite a long time, some weeks beforehand. Although nobody realised it at the time, seeds of discontent were sown on the May 25th, 2022 episode of AEW Dynamite during a one-on-one in-ring confrontation between CM Punk and Adam Hangman Page in order to build excitement for the upcoming AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. During the Hangman's monologue towards CM Punk, it seems that he apparently went off-piste with some of his comments by telling Punk the following.
I don't think you understand what it means to be a champion after all these years. I don't think you get it, because it's not just about what happens in this ring. It's what happens when that red light turns off. What happens when you go back through the curtain, those small, quiet moments when you think no one's watching. You talk a big game about workers' rights, yeah? Well, you've shown the exact opposite since you've gotten here.
Only later did it become apparent that Punk did not appreciate Hangman lifting the veil, as it were, on what he was like in real life and how he was like to deal with behind the scenes. It was later speculated that Page partly said what he said in regards to the real-life animosity between Punk and Colt Cabana, aka Scott Colton. Soon after Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor for around $4 million, Colt Cabana was soon removed from AEW's Dark Order faction and was signed to an ROH contract similar to what he was making AEW. While both Khan and Punk were eager to stress that Punk's animosity with Cabana and vice versa had nothing to do with Cabana's move to Ring of Honor, many people in the locker room disagreed. The true motivation remains unknown, but what we do know is that Scott Colton and CM Punk both spent quite a few months in the same company together and even appeared on some same shows together, although they obviously didn't work with each other, and no reports ever came out that a confrontation or an incident occurred. Double or Nothing came and went, and Punk defeated Adam Page for the AEW World Championship, but in the process, Punk injured his foot. He described it as pulverized, as he probably hurt it by doing a stage dive, and what was supposed to be a 1-hour surgery ended up being 4.5 hours with no less than 3 plates and 16 screws holding Punk's foot together to this day. This saw Punk out of action for a couple of months, yet remain AEW World Champion, with Tony Khan creating, and some would say oddly, an interim AEW World title in Punk's absence that was won by Jon Moxley at the AEW NJPW Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Punk returned on the August 10th Dynamite to challenge Jon Moxley to a unification bout, but 7 days later is where it gets interesting, as on that episode's Dynamite, Punk opened the show and made an unexpected challenge.
I would like to challenge to a rematch Hangman Adam Page.
Whoa. Wow.
You want that rematch? You got it right here, right now. Let's go.
What the?
Punk then sits around for about 20 or 30 seconds as the audience initially cheers, and then the audience enthusiasm dies down, and the commentators speculate as to whether Page was even in the building.
My sentiments exactly. Now on to the important things. That's not cowboy shit, that's coward shit.
Wow.
A little bit of advice, and I'd suggest you take. The apology must be as loud and as public as the disrespect.
Over the next few days, it is established that Punk's comments were an absolute shoot and were not in the plans whatsoever. There were no plans for Punk and Hangman Page to feud any longer. This interview, coupled with several other incidents, including Eddie Kingston getting suspended for trying to attack Sammy Guevara for calling him fat, led to Tony Khan holding a company-wide meeting with all the talent. After various rumours circulated online about unhappiness in the AEW locker room, Tony Khan holds a team meeting the next week, and everybody gets to air their grievances, including Tony Khan himself. It's been reported that Tony Khan is feeling the pressure due to AEW's own downward trajectory in business these last couple of months, owing to injury, some lackluster booking, because so many of the top stars have been out with injuries, including Punk, and WWE's recent rejuvenation ever since Triple H took over from Vince McMahon in the creative department. As well as Khan complaining about recent overtures WWE had made to AEW contracted talents, he addressed certain people who were unhappy because of a lack of storylines or even lack of matches on AEW TV, which Tony Khan has actually caused himself because he's hired around about 130 in-ring talent, and you've only got 3 hours of actual TV to showcase everybody. Reports suggested that the meeting went fairly well, yet he didn't actually quell some of the biggest problems in the locker room, such as Punk shooting on Hangman Page the week before, and he also didn't bring up anything to do with Scott Colton. Punk would lose the AEW World title in just a few minutes that same day to Jon Moxley, and then he would go on to defeat Moxley in the rematch at AEW All Out on September 4th. But it was during the post-pay-per-view presser that would overshadow the pay-per-view itself when CM Punk aired quite a number of his grievances and went into several tirades, first off against Colt Cabana.
I haven't had anything to do with Scott Colton in almost a decade. Probably wanted nothing to do with him even longer than that. It's fucking unfortunate that I have to come up here and speak on this when I'm on my time and this is a fucking business. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills. I have every receipt. I have every invoice. I have every email. I have the email where he says, and I quote, "I agree to go our separate ways. I will get my own lawyer and you do not have to pay anymore." That's an email that I have. The only reason the public did not see is because when I finally had to countersue him through discovery, we discovered he shared a bank account with his mother. That's a fact. And as soon as we discovered that fact and we subpoenaed old Marcia, he sent the email, "Oh, can we please drop all this?" Now, it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013. I've never spoken his word in I don't know how long, so I'm a little fucking pissed off about it. When it came down that he was going to sue me, I asked to talk to him. He refused. I asked for mediation. It was denied. I offered him money. He said it was not enough. He went ahead with the lawsuit and sued. It's his fucking funeral. I don't care. He shares a bank account with his mother. It tells you all you need to know about what kind of character that is. And the reason I've never defended myself is because when you do, it just sounds like you're being defensive. But I've eaten shit on this subject for a very, very long time. And I'm very sad today that I had to get up here and say his name. He doesn't fucking deserve it. And talk about it. But facts are facts, you know. Name 2 people that have made the most money off the name CM Punk. I don't think you're there yet. The first one's Vince McMahon. The second one's Scott Colton.
But Colt Cabana wasn't going to feel left out because CM Punk also took aim at Hangman Page.
What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? For what? What did I do, Dave? What did I ever do? Didn't do a goddamn thing. When somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million house that this company has ever drawn off of my back and goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry. It's a disgrace to this company. Now, we're far beyond apologies, right? I gave him a fucking chance. It did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which was very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level. But that's where we're at right now. And I will still walk up and down this hallway and say, if you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go. We have a locker room full of pretty brilliant minds. You know, Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, Mark Henry. You know, when I came back and I cut my promo my second week here, I thought it was pretty decent. You know what I mean? Kind of blur the lines a little bit. What's he doing? How crazy Phil? He's going into business for himself, and really, I was just defending myself. But you know, you mix that in with attacking Moxley and mention, you know, Kingston being the second best Kingston, which is a pretty great line. You know, but our locker room, for all the wisdom and brilliance it has isn't worth shit when you have an empty-headed idiot who's never done anything in the business do public interviews and say, I don't really take advice. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know, that's stupid. I'm on a team with Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and I don't need to work on my swing. I'm not going to listen to these guys. They're going to tell me how to swing a baseball. Fucking go fuck yourself. That's how I feel about it. I dare you to fucking say that to Terry Funk's face. I don't need to listen to you, Mr. Funk. I know what I'm doing. Fucking grow up.
But most importantly, Punk had rather pointed comments for Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, and Kenny Omega, who are the executive vice presidents of AEW.
The fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into a media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him. Want nothing to do with him. Do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. This shit was none of their business. I understand sticking up for your fucking friends. I fucking get it. I stuck up for that guy more than anybody. Okay? I paid his bills until I didn't, and it was my decision not. If you're an EVP, you don't try to middle your top babyface. Try to get your niche audience that's on the internet to hate him for some made-up bullshit rumor. Really pisses me off. Stepping on your own dick, trying to fucking, make money, sell tickets, fill arenas, and these stupid guys think they're in Reseda.
So, after Punk was done burying a ton of people at the press conference, he walked to the back and the following happened. Punk ended up at the same space as AEW EVPs Matt, Nick, and Kenny. Words were exchanged and Punk landed either one punch or multiple punches on Matt Jackson. AEW backstage producer and Punk's trainer Ace Steel, who was also in the back looking after Punk's emotional support dog Larry, ended up throwing a chair that struck Nick Jackson. Steel also reportedly bit Kenny Omega and pulled his hair. The only thing that witnesses disagree on is who the initial aggressors were. Police were called and none of the principals involved will speak publicly about what happened due to the pending legal quagmire that this could cause AEW and everybody else involved. The only thing that has been stressed is that this entire situation is not a work, it is completely real. The conclusion is nobody knows how the situation is going to move forward from here. As I record this, AEW Dynamite will be on TV tomorrow, and we don't know what's going to happen there, or if they're even going to address the situation on television. It's quite likely that maybe they won't, apart from maybe a couple of sly digs by the commentators. What is known is that this is a pretty bad look for AEW as a whole, especially because it seems that Punk is most likely going to be very reticent to turn these real-life bad feelings into on-screen chemistry or a feud that will be capable of generating money and interest for AEW. Of all the people that Punk took aim at, and this also includes Brian Alvarez, the Wrestling Observer journalist who was sat in the audience for this presser, it seemed that Tony Khan had hinted that Punk was actually going to go into a feud with MJF, who Punk also didn't have that many kind words to say, but it seems that they weren't harsh enough for them to stop a rivalry happening. But only time will tell. So if this video does really well, then I'll make more. If it doesn't, I probably won't, and then I'll move into something else. But for this video, thank you very much for watching, and I will leave the last words to Hangman Page. Bye.